Hearty welcome to you, Mrs. Sheldon. I would also like to place on records the contributions by the British Council, Indian Council of Medical Research, Wellcome Trust, Ministry of Culture, Government of India, and would like to welcome all of those who have joined us in this evening's event. Finally, on behalf of this museum and the National Council of Science Museums, and on my own behalf, I am privileged to welcome one and all who are part of this event. Hearty welcome to one and all who have joined us this afternoon. Thank you.
In keeping with the time and the flow of the event, I would now request Dr. Vivek Zagli to click the button on the inauguration that you can see on your screen and inaugurate the event.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. May I now request the distinguished guests to start the evening with the lighting of the lamp. You just need to click the button which has your name on it and the lamp would get lit. So I would now start with Dr. Vivek Zagli. Request you, sir. Next, Dr. T.G. Sitaram.
I'm unable to find the button.
Sir, you can click on AD Chaudhary, sir.
Okay.
Yes. Mrs. Ashmi, could you please unmute? Next one.
Yeah. With that, like we say in Sanskrit, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, it is all about lighting the lamp traditionally and starting a beautiful evening. Let's now have a walkthrough of the exhibition, and this would be about 10 minutes.
This installation in the exhibition welcomes all the visitors. One can see capsules, tablets, vaccines all around. At the same time, we have a huge demon arising out of all these capsules, tablets, and vaccines. What is this? This is the depiction of an artist as to how a simple microorganism has grown into a huge superbugs. Here we have the first exhibit wherein one can zoom into the world of microbes to see how big they are. These bacteria about which we are all talking about is about 1 micrometer of size. Compared to that, our skin cell is about 30 microns. So you can just visualize how small they are. So naturally, one cannot see these microbes with the naked eye. Let's take a closer look at some of the well-known bacteria which are all around us. The first one is the one which causes typhoid. This bacteria is known as Salmonella enterica serovara typhi. We have 10 such bacteria which have been cultured in the petri dishes, and these actual bacteria are available for viewing in the exhibition. Where are they found? Here in this digital interaction exhibit, one can just put his finger on the digital exhibit, and when he puts his finger on the digital exhibit, you can see that the bacteria which is on his finger is simulated on the digital screen, and the way they multiply can be seen on this exhibit. In order to get rid of the infections caused by these microbes, we need to have antibiotics. The first antibiotic known to the human civilization is the one which was isolated from the penicillium mold by Alexander Fleming, which is nothing but a fungus that grows on bread and fruit. Though Alexander Fleming could understand how it works on the bacteria, it took almost 10 years for Oxford biologists Howard Florey and Ernst Chain to make the first antibiotic, penicillium, which was used on humans to fight the infections caused by the bacteria. This entire exhibit is covered through a mobile application. One can download the free mobile application after coming to the museum, and we have a free wireless network inside the exhibition, and you can listen to the voices of these famous scientists and listen to the audios of all the exhibits on your own mobile. This also meets the COVID-19 requirements for one to visit the exhibition. The next section in this exhibit on microscopic world, we have the history of antibiotics development, starting from the first penicillium, which began in 1928, to the present day. One can scan through the digital flip book. So you can just flip your hand and look into the history of the different types of antibiotics which have been developed. Now, after introduction to the history of antibiotics, and we now have reached a stage where most of these microbes have become resistant to the known antibiotics. But then new antibiotics are not coming into the market. So biologists are looking for alternatives. Now we move on to the next section, that is the human section, where the impact of microbes on humans are experienced by different types of people. We have examples of patient, doctor, nurse, pharmacist, environmentalist, designer, etc. Here we have Dr. Devi Shetty, one of the famous cardiologists from the Narayana Hospitals group, trying to tell and explain the importance of antibiotics and how these microbes have developed resistance to the antibiotics and how a doctor and the patient should behave towards the use of antibiotics. This exhibition also brings in some of the most effective media of popularizing the concept of antibiotics through a puppet show where Tina explains how the infections caused to simpler microorganisms could not be cured due to the antibiotic resistance. Doctors are looking towards Ayurveda, trying to understand the Ayurvedic drugs, and a new study called as ethnopharmacology is being evolved. They are trying to identify the active component in many of the commonly used materials in our kitchen as well as in our daily life. And they have also found that many of them have got antibiotic characters. People are looking towards nature to see whether they can identify new antibiotic drugs. One such example we have here is about the Komodo dragon. So Komodo dragon's bloodstream is known to contain a antibiotic element called as DRGN1, which is actually good enough to fight a particular species of bacteria. Basically, the DRGN1 is a protein which actually is extracted from the lizard's blood and saliva and is likely to give us immunity towards specific bacteria. The exhibition also has three-dimensional views of some of the bacteria which one can commonly come across. Since you cannot actually see them with your naked eye, we have created this setup to actually see many of these bacteria in their three-dimensional form. So visitors coming to this exhibition can have first-hand vision of the microorganisms and bacteria in their three-dimensional form. At the same time, we also have an interactive here in which one can understand how simple microorganisms develop into superbugs. It's basically a game where one can actually host the bacteria on a petri dish and try known antibiotics to kill those bacteria. So more the use of antibiotics, more the resistance developed by these microorganisms towards the known antibiotics. So this game can be played by the visitors to understand how simple bacteria become superbugs. So we move on to the next section in the exhibition. And in this exhibition, we are trying to focus on new diagnostic tools which are being developed across the world to identify the infections. Because diagnosing and identifying the infection is the first remedy to get into a proper treatment. In order to have a successful, effective diagnosis technology, the United Kingdom has announced a prize known as Longitude Prize, wherein anybody on this earth can develop a diagnostic kit which can detect and diagnose an infection in the minimum possible time and also indicate what type of bacteria is responsible for this infection. Now we come to the last section of the exhibition, wherein the global phenomena of antibiotic resistance, how we are trying to corner. Now this is the campaign done worldwide by different organizations about the importance of antibiotics. India is also not left behind. In India, our government of India has developed mechanisms to identify the antimicrobial resistance of different organisms. And our Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, through his Man Ki Baat, has expressed the new guidelines and policies that the government has devised for effective use of antibiotics and also to curtail the resistance of microbes towards the known antibiotics. We would also like the visitor to take a pledge that they would use the antibiotics as per the prescription of the doctors and at the same time use it effectively so that we don't expose the antibiotics too much to the microbes so that during the process of microbes evolution, they develop resistance to the known drugs. So this is in brief about the exhibition Superbugs, the end of antibiotics. So as we scan through the exhibition, we can find that this exhibition highlights the role of microbes in human health, how these microbes have influenced our lifestyle, how biologists have been working to fight against these microbes by developing antibiotics. But then, at the dead end of the road, we now have all these microbes becoming superbugs.
Definitely very educative and interesting and very, very informative. We now move on. Professor T.G. Sitaram is a civil engineer, professor, and director at IIT Guwahati. He is known for his works in the fields of rock mechanics, rock engineering, and geotechnical earthquake engineering. He is an elected fellow of the Indian Geophysical Society, Institution of Engineers, India, and the American Society of Civil Engineers. He is the chairman of the executive committee of VITM. He is currently serving as the editor-in-chief of Springer, Transactions in Civil and Environmental Engineering, and several other journals. He is the recipient, amongst many, of some of the awards that I will list out. SP Research Award, SARC 1998, Sri C.V. Raman State Award for Young Scientists, Government of Karnataka, Professor Gopal Rajan Research Award, the Amulya and Vimala Reddy Lecture Award. I now request Dr. T.G. Sitaram to give the introductory address.
Namaskar. Very good afternoon to all of you. Honorable Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka, Dr. Ashwath Narayan. Honorable Minister for Health and Family Welfare, Dr. Sudhakar. Dr. Vivek Javli, Chairman, Cardiovascular Sciences and Medical Advisory Council. Ms. Helen Jones, Director, Global Engagement Strategy, Science Museum Group, London. And our own Dr. Madan Gopal and Dr. S. Kumar, Director, Headquarters of NCSM. I'm very happy to be here for this inaugural function of the exhibition, Superbugs, the End of Antibiotics. Despite the massive disruption caused by the outbreak of COVID, VITM has managed to adopt and continue working. Let me first congratulate the Visesvaraya Industrial Technological Museum. Despite with all these difficulties, they are trying to continue their job of disseminating the science information to the common people as well as students and also the needy. This gives us a hope that the entire community of the science exhibition group remain resilient to the new waves as well as this COVID-19 disaster. This community has shown its adapting capability itself to a new order. As we all know, superbugs are microbes which becomes resistant to antibiotics, kill almost 700,000 people a year, a figure that could rise to almost 1 crore by 2050. Therefore, creating public awareness on the issue of superbugs is very, very critical. I'm very happy that VITM is doing this very eloquently, and now they moved into a virtual realm so that they're doing this online. So not only this function, and I heard that this entire app going through the exhibition online, this is also a very unique experience for the students to sit at their home, and whoever, even the all common man also can go into this app, download this and look at this. This exhibition, I'm very happy to also say, is going to be there for full 1 month, so they can look at this very leisurely at their time available. So to learn about the superbugs, and this antimicrobial resistance is turning out to be a major global public health problem which needs urgent attention. As you all know, unfortunately, the pipeline of new antibiotics is running dry. Less than 100 years after the development of penicillin, drug-resistant superbugs are threatening to gain the upper hand in our fight against bacterial infections. Superbugs are already taken an enormous toll on healthcare systems around the world. Without new and better treatments, that figure could rise to 10 million by 2050. This is a great, alarming situation we are all in. And the entire world has witnessed this COVID-19 pandemic, almost now running into the 8th month, which is really sometimes puts us in a question that have we done enough? India carries one of the largest burdens of these drug-resistant pathogens worldwide. At the same time, India is a pharma of the whole world. Almost 60 to 70% of the pharma products come from, manufactured in India. Studies have clearly shown that many stakeholder groups, such as school students, teachers, and also the pharmacists, are not fully aware of this antimicrobial resistance and its consequences. So therefore, there is an urgent need for creating an improved awareness among the health professionals as well as the public, students, and even the homemakers too. For creating such a needed public awareness on this issue of MR, India and UK have joined. I'm very happy to hear that, to develop this exhibition called Superbugs, the end of antibiotics. So as I told you, VITM is always in the forefront. I'm watching them from the last 2 years as the chairman of their committee, governing council. And they are very, very creative people. I'm not saying this as a chairman because I'm also an outsider. I'm looking at them, what they are doing. They're doing amazing things. And now I think they're also getting a new buses to take these exhibitions across India, look in corner of India, and that too particularly I would love to see, goes to small villages, towns, so that our people get aware of these superbugs. So at VITM, we have taken one other important step. We have adopted several schools where our scientists from VITM go and show these models, exhibitions on all the aspects other than superbugs. This is another very major event appreciated at even National Council for Science Museum as well. So I think there are very top experts here. Dr. Javli is here and many others are here. And even both our ministers are doctors. Hopefully we will hear from them much more elaborate description. So I take this opportunity to thank VITM to invite me to be here. Last word I would like to say, there is a lot of knowledge in the Indian knowledge system. So we need to really explore some of the things which we were practicing at our homes and either as a rituals or whatever it is called. So that we need to again bring back, starting with even namaste. Now this handshake is gone. So this is the beautiful thing. So there is a lot of things to explore in the Indian knowledge system. At IIT Guwahati, we made a small beginning to create a center for Indian knowledge system, wherein we would look at what we call Lokavidya, which is available in our villages, small towns, and even our homes, to bring into the mainstream and evaluate through the scientific principles. That's really fantastic. I had met actually Dr. Bharat Agarwal, who did on curcumin, that is haldi, a lot of innovations, which is greatest, such things, we need to bring it back to the mainstream and look at how well we can fight these new diseases or the new superbugs. With these few remarks, I take this opportunity again to thank all the guests who have really accepted to be here on this day to inaugurate the exhibition on superbugs, the end of antibiotics. And again, thank you one and all. Namaste, Jai Hind.
Thank you, Professor Sitaram. Very well said. In fact, I think there's been no other time than now when Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu makes most sense. Because for once, all of us are praying for each other's good health. And with the pandemic striking, we realize there's no need to put our carbon footprint with the travel that we used to do. And proof of that is our next speaker, who's not in India, but right here with us, virtually connected in the new normal, as we call it. Mrs. Helen Jones, the Director of Global Engagement and Strategy, Science Museum Group, London. The team works with colleagues throughout the group to sustain and coordinate key relationships in the UK and overseas. She runs the postgraduate program for training and research in conservation in collaboration with the Royal College of Art and Imperial College. She was also the head of planning at the Victoria and Albert Museum, UK, before moving to the Science Museum in 2008. Request you, ma'am, to now deliver your address.
Thank you very much indeed. So good afternoon, everyone. or as it is for me in a sunny but very cold London, good morning. So yes, I'm Helen Jones, and I'm very pleased and honoured to be with you in such distinguished company this morning, representing our Chief Executive and Director, Sir Ian Blatchford. So as is rather common these days, I'm going through a mixture of emotions. We're all absolutely thrilled in the Science Museum that Superbugs is opening at VITM in Bangalore. I'm rather envious that your museums are opening while ours are still closed for another week or so. And I'm also disappointed that I can't be with you in person, to meet friends like Mr. Kumar again and to hopefully make new friends. But at least technology means that we can be together digitally. It's not the same, but it is a lot better than nothing, much better. And I'm very glad that we're all here together. In the bigger picture, who could have imagined a year ago that the world would be in such a state? Our thoughts are with all of those affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. It's been very humbling and a glimpse of how rapidly humankind can be overwhelmed. And of course, we face lots of other challenges on a global scale. Climate change is one, and antibiotic resistance is another, as we've heard. Yet there are grounds for optimism, as this exhibition shows. Science can provide solutions. For COVID-19, there are vaccines on the horizon, and these have come about through international research collaboration, the only way to get effective results. Science is a global endeavour. And the huge international research effort to reduce the threat of antibiotic resistance is already underway. Alongside the endeavours of scientists and other professionals, there are things that we can do. Firstly, understand the issues, and then to reduce the threats through our own choices and behaviours as individuals and in our communities. Visitor feedback tells us that these messages come across in the Superbugs exhibition and the associated events programme, which I know has been particularly strong in India. We need as many people as possible to see it, and several countries around the world now have their own versions of this exhibition. Our own work as the Science Museum Group and as professional science communicators depends on international cooperation too, and we've absolutely loved working with the National Council of Science Museums. Although Bengaluru is the last venue in India for Superbugs, we want this to be a lasting partnership, and we're already planning our next collaborative projects. It takes a lot of people and organisation to make these things happen, as we all know, and we've started to hear. So Mr. Kumar, thanks to you and your colleagues in the National Council of Science Museums for all you've done and continue to do with us, especially in such difficult circumstances. Thanks to Mr. Gopal and the team for doing such a great job in this exhibition, as we all just saw. I hope that we may work with you again, and that Sir Ian and I will be able to visit in person. I know that the India tour of Superbugs has been greatly supported by the India Council of Medical Research, and that's much appreciated. And we're all extremely grateful to British Council India, and in particular Wellcome, which funded the Superbugs project. And of course, there wouldn't be an exhibition without my wonderful colleagues in the Science Museum, including exhibition curator Sheldon Paquin, who I believe is on the line today. So I'm really glad that the exhibition is open. I hope it can stay open, and I hope it's a success. And furthermore, I hope that everyone here stays safe and well for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Helen Jones. Very well said, that it's all about the optimism that we hold, that one day we shall meet in person. Till then, virtual connections definitely stay. Dr. Vivek Zabli is the Chief Cardiothoracic and Vascular Surgeon and Chairman, Department of Cardiovascular Sciences, Fortis Hospital, Bangalore. A pioneer in minimally invasive cardiac surgery in India, he has performed over 18,000 cardiothoracic and vascular surgeries till date. He performed India's first beating heart bypass surgery in 1992 and is also known for India's first awake cardiac surgery, that is, surgery without general anesthesia or ventilator done under continuous high thoracic epidural in 1999. The founding member of the International Society of Minimally Invasive Cardiac Surgeons, Dr. Zavli is the only Indian on the editorial board of its journal, Innovations in Cardiac Surgery. He is also the council member of the Asian Association of Cardiothoracic Surgeons and is an amazing speaker. A fan moment for me to listen to Dr. Zab.
Thank you. Am I audible, Rashmi?
Yes, sir, you are.
Thank you. Thank you and greetings to all of you. Good afternoon. I am really heartened to see that you have kickstarted this particular awareness program from the Science Museum, which is a very popular museum of Bangalore city. I think nobody can underwrite the importance of this campaign. There is a lot of feeling that if the humanity is going to get jolted and harmed, most probably from back door, without our knowledge, some biological catastrophe is going to happen. The front runner of the catastrophe are the superbugs if the antibiotics run out. With that, let me come to the next slide. My slides are not moving. Is there anything that you could help me to do? Rashmi, my slides are not moving. Oh, okay. Let me. Can you see my slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you.
We can.
So it's a man-made disaster where we have come to the door of it. In contrast to bacteria, which have been in existence for millions of years, antibiotics are barely a century and a half old. In this short period of time, we have run out of antibiotics because the bacteria have acquired resistance to most of the available antibiotics. It's very amusing to see that Alexander Fleming in 1928, when he brought out penicillin, he also warned in 1928 that the thoughtless person playing with penicillin treatment is morally responsible for the death of the man who succumbs to infection with penicillin-resistant organisms, and how true it has come to be. The antimicrobial stewardship. So action plan is more important than going on talking about how dangerous it is going to be. Antimicrobial stewardship has taken an important center stage, at least in my hospitals, and it should be rightly in all the hospitals, may it be private or government hospitals in India, especially the government hospitals. The use of appropriate, what is antibiotic stewardship? Use of appropriate antibiotic, using it for the appropriate duration, not unnecessarily going on using it for a week and 2 weeks. Starting suitable antibiotic only after checking the blood, sputum, urine, pus, etc. for the correct organism and the correct antibiotic. Stopping or toning down the higher antibiotic injections to lower antibiotics and tablets. Not administering antibiotics in unnecessary situations such as viral infection, which is very common in our practices. The next slide. Antibiotic use in medical practice. It could be prophylactic, empirical, or specific. Prophylaxis is when you are administering antibiotics to prevent infection. It is called prophylaxis. This step is towards prevention of infections due to inoculation of staphylococci into the surgical incision and is commonly used in surgery. But then the largest abuse has been here, both the hospitals, government and private. So some kind of stewardship, some kind of regulation, and some kind of supervision is most important. The next would be the empirical antibiotics. Empirical antibiotics are those which are administered when infection is suspected but not confirmed. As per the hospital policy, at least in my hospital, a reasonable broad spectrum antibiotic like a combination of piperacillin and tazobactam, which is our practice, is administered empirically, changed or discontinued once the culture and sensitivity report is made available. Should culture reveal absence of infection, the empiric antibiotic is ceased. If the sensitivity indicates the requirement of a broader or a narrower spectrum, accordingly changes are made and escalation or de-escalation is done. Specific antibiotic use. The specific class of type of antibiotic is indicated by the culture and sensitivity report and may be instituted to treat that infection. The duration and the combination of therapy is usually guided by the hospital policy. And every hospital must have a very strong, empowered, centralized infection control committee. The anesthetist and the microbiologist should be an important part of this committee, who are the hubs to which all the spokes meet. But in our real world, if you look around us, still in many institutions, individual whims and fancy do still have a scope, and that has to be abolished sternly. The next slide, infection control committee and the processes. When Fortis hospitals in Bangalore began as Wokhart Hospital, I made my anesthetist take keen interest along with my microbiologist, and he devoted himself, and he now controls the infection control committees across 40 hospitals of India. Those processes have to be very immaculate, strong, and empowered. Antimicrobial stewardship itself is one process. A document has to be there on the hospital intranet, and everybody at a flick of button should be able to reach the stewardship document and know what are the processes in the hospital, what are the advices in the hospital. Creating a restricted antibiotic list, again at a click of mouse, everybody on their phone should be able to see what is the restricted antibiotic list, and nobody is empowered to use those antibiotics, at least after the first 2 days, has to take a green signal from the infection control committee. Insisting on antibiotic use justification forms. These justification forms should be simple, idiot-proof, and must be submitted before they start using higher antibiotics. One-on-one discussion with doctors should be going on constantly. My infection control committee meets every 15 days, and we have, with all the stakeholders, a very clear, clean, and amicable relationship. Auditing existing practices and finding course corrections is also important, and that has to be done periodically. Antimicrobial stewardship, there is a mechanism where in choice of antibiotics, their combinations, days of use are monitored by a group of healthcare professionals, and suitable advices are provided towards healthier practices. The antimicrobial stewardship team also monitors de-escalations. More than 3 antibiotics in any patient are looked at with wide eyes. Antimicrobial stewardship committee consists of senior doctors, microbiologist, infectious disease specialist, infection control nurses, and hospital administrators. They meet at regular intervals to discuss the success of their program as well as strategizing future plans. Hearteningly, as I told you, in my hospital group, Fortis, we do this every 15 days. The next is the creating a restricted antibiotic list. The restricted antibiotic list, these are the restricted antibiotic list in our group. Colistin, you can just eyeball it. I will not bore you on that, but we are very strict about it, and everybody has to be very strict about it. And in India, the government hospital, the university hospital, the teaching hospitals, where the professors could be very big in their strength, I think there is a stronger case to be very firm on the infection control committee's empowerment in these hospitals. Optimizing antibiotic use, hospital infection control committees, they should be monitoring. Appropriate type, dose, route, and duration of antibiotic are important. Choosing the type and duration of antibiotic should be monitored by surgical and infection control committees. Variables involved in surgical prophylaxis fall into the realm of anesthesiologists, because they are the hub which connect all the spokes, whether it's urology, neurosurgery, cardiac surgery. It is vital to keep the anesthesiologist in the loop to ensure control on the surgical prophylaxis. Other variables involved in surgical site infections, such as maintaining normal blood sugar, which is vital. Today, if I do cardiac surgeries in India, 70% of my patients are diabetic. So keeping them euglycemic is one of the most primary precautions that I take to avoid infections and avoid unnecessary use of prolonged antibiotics. Temperature controls, oxygen saturations, and administering additional doses of antibiotic after every 4th hour. during the hemorrhage and hemodilution, I must calculate accordingly. These are also responsibilities of the doctors concerned. The antibiotic justification form. All clinicians are informed that these forms have to be filled in restricted antibiotic, and this is the kind of form that we use in Fortis. The compliance to submission or justification at my hospital, Fortis, this you can see in the last 3 months what has been the compliance. It has been improving, and we are now reaching very near to perfection in my hospital. But that should be the story in every hospital group of India. Most of the private hospitals have big empowered quality departments, and these kind of things are normalcy. I think all the government and teaching hospitals, this kind of discipline culture is actually high time that it came everywhere. The discussion with the stakeholders. It is very important to appraise the stakeholders of their status and their compliance status of their colleagues toward these policies. It is prudent to take them along and get their buy-in for successful implementation of the antimicrobial stewardship. Attitude of never say never and never say always works best. At my hospitals, meetings are held at every 15 days and every quarterly with the entire gamut of stakeholders across the country, the 62 hospitals that we have. If you look at this graph, the surgical prophylaxis, pan-Fortis, if you see in those last 5 months, the prophylaxis compliance that we should give only 2 doses or only 24 hours, etc., has been ever increasing. And I'm sure by this year end, we'll be reaching far near perfection. But again, that has to be a story of every hospital. The achievements at my hospital, antibiotic stewardship is now, can you mute your speakers please? Antibiotic stewardship is now strictly followed across all the 40 hospitals of India. The nodal for controlling them is in Bangalore. Specialties like cardiac surgery, my department, we have brought down the use of prophylactic antibiotics now only to 2 doses. And there are many departments where we don't use prophylactic antibiotics at all. In my department, patients who are getting a prosthesis like a heart valve, or the orthopedic guys who are using a joint prosthesis, we may use 2 doses or 24 hours doses. But a case like bypass surgery, it's possible not to use antibiotics at all. All parameters and outcomes are updated on the Fortis intranet, in our own website and our intranet weekly.
Hello.
So at any time, give me only one more slide. I'm done.
I got this call from this number.
Pardon?
I'm Manikandan. I'm from.
Hello, can you listen? Can you mute your speakers, please? All parameters and outcomes are updated on our hospital intranet every week and are available to be viewed by all administration managers, all the doctors, juniors and seniors freely. We will be soon going on about these parameters open to the world on the internet. If every hospital is stringent on data collection and transparent on allowing everybody to see that, then what happens tomorrow at the Prime Minister's office, Health Minister's office, or all the regulators' office, they will be able to, at a click of button, view the whole country or the whole state or the whole city and accordingly take appropriate measures. These are difficult fruits, little high-hanging as we expect. So if some amount of push is done in the hospital and some amount of stick along with the carrot is used, I think it can become a low-hanging fruit. So in conclusion, appropriate antibiotic use is everyone's business. Though abuse, and not only just infection control committee, though abuse of antibiotic may not appear to harm the facility, society and country at large in the immediate time, it is definitely not desirable in the long run. All efforts must be made by the healthcare facilities, administrators, clinicians, and the government to curtail inappropriate use of antimicrobial agents. Otherwise, from the back door, this calamity may come and wipe out humanity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Zavli, for those words of caution and the attitude, I think, especially with the pandemic, that all of us should adopt is never say never, never say always. Perfectly said. Like always, a wonderful educative talk. Thank you very much. I now request Shri S. Kumar, the Director, NCSM, to propose the vote of thanks. But before that, the Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka, Honorable Dr. C.N. Ashwath Narayana, has sent in his best wishes and said that he could not join us because of an emergency meeting that he's been called to. And therefore, in keeping with time, I now request Shri S. Kumar, the Director, NCSM, to propose the vote of thanks.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody present here, and good morning to friends from UK. Namaskar. The honorable dignitaries present today in this virtual live opening of the exhibition, our most valued invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, young scientists and researchers, friends from media who are present here at VITM Bangalore. It's my privilege to present a vote of thanks on this momentous occasion. I, on behalf of the National Council of Science Museums, extend a very hearty thanks to our chief guest, Dr. Ashwath Narayana, CM, the Honorable Deputy CM, for sending his kind wishes for the exhibition, and also to Dr. K. Sudhakar, the Honorable Minister of Health, Family Welfare, and Department of Medical Education, Government of Karnataka, for sending his kind wishes for the exhibition. I would then extend my hearty gratitude and thanks to Dr. Vivek Javli, the Chairman Cardiovascular Sciences and Medical Advisory Council, and member Medical Council of India Academic Council, Bangalore, for his detailed presentation and inspiring presentation on AMR and for awareness of the public. So we are thankful for your kind presence here, sir, also. I would also like to thank Ms. Helen Jones, Director, Global Engagement and Strategy, Science Museum Group, London, for her virtual presence in this inaugural event. The collaboration with SMT has been extremely satisfying and useful for the design and development of this exhibition. I would also like to thank Mr. Sheldon Paquin, the project manager and curator from Science Museum Group, who is present here, who is virtually present in this inaugural program, for his constant support and feedback. We thank once again to SMT for the collaboration with NCSM and hope that the bond continues with similar such exhibitions and in future. I think we are already working for 2 such exhibitions, and hopefully next year, sir, we will be able to do some more such kind of traveling exhibition for the people in India. I would also like to thank the British Council for the support and hope that the bond will continue further. I would like to thank Professor T. Sitaram, Director IIT Guwahati and the Chairman Executive Committee of VITM, and also the member of our governing body and the society, for his virtual presence here in this inaugural program and his wholehearted support for many such collaborative ventures and his overall guidance in various committees for National Council of Science Museums and VITM. So thank you very much for giving us valuable advice from time to time, and we hope that we'll continue it further, sir. I would also like to thank Sri K. Madan Gopal, Director of the Vismuseum Bangalore, for his kind presence and hosting this exhibition. In fact, this is the 3rd leg of the exhibition, and after this Bangalore exhibition, it will move to Calcutta after 1 month duration. His entire team of staff needs a big round of applause for the perfect logistic support extended for the hosting the event here virtually, installing the exhibition, and for all the arrangements for this virtual opening. In fact, they have created new panels here in addition to whatever the existing. Connecting the present COVID-19 pandemic and the AMR awareness is really praiseworthy, and because it has been done in a very short period of time, I think Mr. Sheldon will also be aware of this. The center has already planned a number of exciting events to be conducted online and offline to create awareness on the issue, and hope they would be fulfill the objectives of the exhibition. I would also like to thank Wellcome Trust UK for supporting this exhibition, and I'm glad to inform that The exhibition, which was supposed to culminate in January, has been extended to February 2021. So probably we'll have some more time in the last leg of the exhibition at Calcutta. And because without that help, this exhibition of such large scale would not have been possible. We hope that the exhibition and the activities planned with this exhibition will meet its objectives and create a public awareness amongst a large cross-section of population on AMR. I would also like to thank ICMR, the Director General, and all the institutions and individuals for their valuable support in content development and providing artifacts for this exhibition. You can, when you visit the exhibition, you can see a lot of artifacts which have been kept and preserved. You can listen the voice of Fleming on this very interesting phone which is there. I would also like to thank the doctors, professionals, scientists, researchers, farmers, and associations who have contributed directly and indirectly for the exhibition. A special gratitude to the individuals who have been showcased in this human section. Their stories are just inspiring and thought-provoking. We hope viewers will appreciate their contributions in the exhibition. I also extend my thanks to the media, print, electronics, social, and personals present in this virtual opening, and hope that they would cover the event so as to reach out to a large cross-section of the people. At the end, I would like to thank everyone connected with this exhibition, whom I may have missed out for their valuable contribution to the exhibition, include the colleagues from NCSM. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Finally, we have come to the end of the program, the inauguration. But before signing off, I, Rashmi Shetty, would welcome each one of you to spread the word about this exhibition and make sure this beautiful space is explored and everyone gets to know what the superbug is all about, what antibiotics are about. Thank you, one and all. Jai Hind.
Thank you and goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye, Helen.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.